Hello, children. I welcome you to the second session of the chapter Natural Resources, Land, Soil, and Water. We will discuss about soil in detail. Now, there are four layers of the soil, and those four layers of the soil or the four horizons of the soil together comprise soil profile. So the four layers of the soil together comprise soil profile. The first layer is topsoil or A horizon. Topsoil is the most fertile topmost layer of the soil. It is rich in humus, that means organic matter. Then subsoil, that is horizon B. It consists of sand, silt, clay, and some nutrients such as soluble minerals and iron oxides. Rainwater collects in this layer only. You can see in the diagram that subsoil is lighter in color because it has less of humus, and subsoil has bigger rock particles. Then horizon C, rock fragments. It consists of bigger rock particles. Then bedrock or D horizon, or bedrock is also known as R horizon. It is the last layer in the soil profile. It is the parent rock. It is the solid layer of unweathered rock, broken rock only. And because of this rock only, there is formation of soil. So the topmost layer is the darkest because it is richest in humus. It is known as topsoil or A horizon. The second layer is known as subsoil or B horizon. It is comparatively lighter in color because it contains less of humus and it has bigger rock particles and pebbles, and all the rainwater collects here. Then the third is C horizon or rock fragments. Here there are bigger rock particles. And the last is bedrock, R horizon, or it is also known as D horizon. It is the solid layer of unweathered rock. Unweathered rock means the rock which is not broken. And I have discussed this, that the soil is formed due to breaking down of rocks into smaller pieces by the process of weathering, and the characteristics of rock determine the characteristics of soil. Now let's discuss various methods of soil conservation. Of course, soil is very important and we need to conserve soil. So there are various methods of soil conservation. Like the first one that you can see on your screen is contour plowing. Here the barriers are made in the form of contour lines, and it retards, decelerates, or slows down the flow of water. And when flow of water is retarded or slowed down, then soil erosion is prevented. So here, since water has to cross various contour lines, in this process the speed of water decelerates or slows down and it prevents soil erosion. This is done in flat areas. This is known as contour plowing. Now the next picture that you can see is terrace farming. Now let's try to understand what is terrace farming. See, this is terrace farming. Here this is done in hilly areas, and you can see that the steps are there at relatively higher elevation in comparison to contour plowing. This is again done to prevent erosion due to flow of water. This is done to slow down flow of water, to decelerate or retard flow of water. The difference between contour plowing and terrace farming is that in contour plowing the steps are not so elevated as in case of terrace farming, and terrace farming is practiced in hilly areas. Now let's see the next one. The next one is strip cropping. You can see strip cropping on your screen. Here on one side you can see one row of plant or the crop and the other row of grass. Now this grass acts like a protection. It acts like a protective layer. It acts like protection. It acts like a shield, and it protects the main crop from wind, flow of water, etc. So here in one row grass is grown, that is towards the left, and in the second row the main crop is grown. The grass decelerates the flow of wind, water, etc. and acts like a protective layer. Now let's see the next one. The next one that we have is called shelter belts. Here in the corner the rows of trees, shrubs are planted to reduce the speed of wind, and when the speed of wind is reduced, then it prevents soil erosion. Cover cropping, we grow one crop in between a plantation crop or in an orchard. See, plantation crop means when you grow one crop on a large scale, and in orchards also you grow fruits on a large scale. So in between you grow a leguminous crop. That leguminous crop will act like a shield, like a cover crop, like a protective crop, and it will prevent wind, water from eroding the soil. And also if you grow a leguminous crop as a protective crop, as a cover crop, then of course it will fix nitrogen into the soil, and hence it will help to regain the soil fertility. Now you can see the rock dams. In case of rock dams, the rocks are piled along the sea. Now since rocks are piled along the sea, these rocks prevent the water from flooding the farms, and hence it helps to prevent soil erosion due to water. Now what is crop rotation? Say if I grow crop A, then crop A say draws magnesium from the soil. So after some time magnesium will exhaust from the soil. So instead of doing this, I should grow different crops in a year so that each crop draws a different nutrient from the soil, and there is no deficit of one nutrient from the soil. If I keep on growing one crop and that one crop say uses magnesium, then after some time magnesium will be exhausted from the soil. So instead grow different crops which draw different nutrients from the soil, and after every few crops grow a leguminous crop which fixes nitrogen and helps to maintain soil fertility. Now let's see what are the various types of soil found in India. First you can see is desert soil. Of course it is found in the areas like Rajasthan where there is scanty rainfall. Every soil has three particles: sand, silt and clay. In desert soil the quantity of sand is more. Sand does not absorb water. It is highly infertile. Proper irrigation methods should be used to make desert soil cultivable. Desert soil is highly infertile. It contains a lot of sand particles which do not absorb water. Next, alluvial soil, the best soil, which is formed by the interplay of rivers. It is formed due to the sediments brought by the rivers. It has right amount of sand, silt and clay, and any kind of crop can be grown in alluvial soil. Black soil, also known as cotton soil or regur soil. So since it is known as cotton soil, so it is best for growing cotton. It has more amount of clay particles, and clay particles absorb a lot of moisture. So it becomes very sticky after absorbing a lot of moisture. So proper tilling is needed, so that after proper tilling, it becomes aerable. It is able to absorb air and it does not become sticky. In fact, in summers, it naturally develops crack so that it can aerate, it can breathe. Actually, if there is excess of water given to the soil, then the air molecules get replaced. So it naturally develops crack. Since it has clay particles, so it absorbs a lot of water. Now, water molecules replace air molecules. It requires air also, so it develops crack so that it can take air also. It naturally develops crack in summers. Black soil is formed due to weathering of igneous rocks. It is formed in those areas where there was volcanic eruption. Red soil is of course found in southern India, and it is formed due to weathering of igneous and metamorphic rocks. It is red in color due to diffusion of iron. This soil can be made fertile by applying fertilizers. Laterite soil, latter means brick. Laterite soil is found in the areas which receive heavy rainfall like Kerala, northeastern area of India. Now, due to heavy rainfall, the nutrients of the topsoil get washed down. They move to subsoil, parent rock, and the topsoil becomes infertile. This is known as leaching. So of course, since the topsoil becomes infertile, so proper fertilizers are needed in case of laterite soil, and cashew nut can be grown in laterite soil. Then forest soil is of course found in those areas where it is hilly. Forest soil is very fertile and it contains a lot of humus. However, this type of soil gets eroded due to the agents of nature like air, water, that is heavy rainfall, etc. So in the hilly areas, terrace farming should be performed to prevent soil erosion. Soil is an important natural resource, and hence it's important that we ensure that soil is conserved. We take steps. Now let's talk about water. Our earth is called watery planet or blue planet. About 71% of the earth is covered by water. However, 97% of this water is saline water. It is salty, it is not fit for consumption. It is found in seas and oceans, and we human beings cannot consume that water because our body cannot tolerate such high levels of salt. And then 3% we have fresh water. Out of that, 2% is locked in the glaciers and the ice caps, so just 1% is left for us to use. And then of course, water is a renewable resource. Water gets evaporated, and then after some time those water droplets form clouds, and then they get back to the earth in the form of rain. But then when that rainwater, which is the purest form of water, mixes with drain water, it becomes dirty. Now, we know that rainwater is the purest form of water, but when it mixes with the drain water, it becomes dirty. So, we should perform rainwater harvesting, where we collect water in our terrace. We make a structure, we make tanks to collect water, and through pipes, that water should be taken to the ground so that it recharges the water table. It recharges the water table, it recharges the groundwater. A well can be constructed. From pipes, that water can be taken to that well so that we can use them. We can use rainwater, and we can get over water crisis which is being faced by the entire world, because though there is large amount of water, however we do not have fresh water which is needed. Besides this, we can adopt various innovative methods of irrigation to conserve water, like you can see on your screen, sprinkler irrigation, where a sprinkler is installed so that water is provided evenly to the entire field through the sprinkler, and there is no wastage of water. Water is supplied to the entire field evenly through a sprinkler. Then the second method that we can use is drip irrigation, where drop by drop we provide water to the roots of the plant. Actually, the roots of the plant need water. So providing water to the roots of the plant drop by drop is known as drip irrigation. Of course, this is an amazing method to conserve water by providing water drop by drop. And then dams are being constructed to provide water to the agricultural fields, industries. Jawaharlal Nehru said that the dams are the future of modern India. They are the temples of modern India. Dams can be used to prevent flooding. See, if we install a turbine and water is made to fall from certain height, and then when that water falls on the turbine, then the turbine will move, and that turbine will produce electricity, which is known as hydroelectricity. And these are the advantages of dam. However, dams have certain disadvantages also. For dam, large amount of space is needed, so people are displaced. People are shifted from one place to another. They have to leave their houses, and then dams affect ecosystem. They affect the marine life of a particular region, and there is the need to water by not allowing the wastewater thrown out by RO to run into drains, rather use them for mopping the house. And besides this, we have to ensure that there are no leakages in the taps. We need to conserve our resources. With this, I wind up the chapter. Thank you.